Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And this is ReDIScover, a conversation where we travel through everything that makes up the essence of who we are and how to live authentically and imaginatively.
Here, we invite you to join us as we explore and discuss a little bit of, well, everything.
From Disney to cultivating your most authentic life to deepening your relationships and talking about the real stuff.
We hope you'll find this a space that speaks to you, encourages you, and brings a little bit of magic into your day.
Hi there, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And welcome back to this week's episode of ReDIScover.
To wrap up this month of love and relationships and some of the heavier topics we've gotten into over the last few weeks, we wanted to end on a lighter, more whimsical and fun note. A while back, we did an episode about our favorite Disney couples. If you want to go back and listen, that was episode 5 back in October of our first season of ReDIScover. We talked about our favorite royal couples from the Disney brand, and you guys loved it so much that you asked for a part 2. So here we are with part 2. We're going to talk about some couples from live action Disney films.
So we decided to divide this up into different categories. We picked a few couples from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one from the Star Wars Star Wars saga. One from
the Star Wars.
One from the Star Wars sagas, and a few from some Disney Channel shows and movies.
Some DComs.
Yes, so we're Disney Channel kids, so of course we had to include those. And then we have one honorable mention that is not really in any of those categories, but stay tuned to find out who it is.
So we're going to start off in the MCU. If you are a Marvel fan like me, they're a little obvious, but I think they're celebrated couples for good reason. My personal favorite Avenger is Captain America, and I love his lifelong love/partner, Peggy Carter, almost as much as I love him, if not more sometimes. I fell in love with her when Marvel released the series Agent Carter several years back, which I believe you can now find on Disney+. It is wonderfully done. I love it so much. Cap and Peggy are, of course, a more atypical couple in that they met in the line of service back in the 1940s during World War II, and so there was not really any room or safe time or space for them to truly date or have a relationship, but it was very clear very early on that there was a lot of chemistry there. Of course, Cap, being cryogenically frozen for a number of years, and Peggy aging naturally lent this heart-wrenching sort of element to their story because, of course, Cap ended up being in his prime again when he came out of cryo freeze, and Peggy was a very old woman at that point. So there was not really a lot of room or time for them to have a chance to be together, and that's heartbreaking. But I think Cap's loyalty to her and the fact that he always kept a picture of her with him and the fact that he visited her in the hospital and everything was just so endearing and so indicative of his character. And I think that his celebration of how independent she was and what a strong woman she was, especially in that time. There are going to be some spoilers here, you guys, but you've had plenty of time to see these films, so if you don't know what happened yet, that's not my fault. Of course, at the end of Avengers Endgame, when we see that really sweet moment where Cap has the opportunity to experience his relationship with Peggy when they are the same age and they get to do all of those things together, and you sort of see and have that realization that they got to grow old together, that just, I just lost it. I don't know if anyone else was crying in the theater, but I definitely was. And I think that I love their relationship because there is such an allowance and acceptance there, but also because they are people who retain their individuality, but they're two people who come together for a common purpose and they fight together for that. And there's just something about their integrity that's so resonant with each other and also just in everything that they do. And I just love them. I think they're just two really badass, brave wonderful people.
So the other couple we wanted to talk about from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, of course, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts. Tony Stark is exceptionally brilliant. He's a very, very busy man. He's a bit overwhelming as a human being.
He's a playboy.
Yeah, he is. He's very irresponsible. He is quite flirtatious with women. He has so much money. He lives in this, I don't even think you could call it a mansion. It's like a resort that he lives in for himself. And he has his workshop where he has all of his tech and his experiments. He just blows up parts of his house and he's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'll fix it later. But Pepper is his wonderful assistant, and I think she is the only person that really keeps him grounded. Like they say in the first movie, like he tells her, he's like, you're all I have. And later in the movie, she says, you're all I have too. They have a very, professional relationship at the beginning, which transitions into like more romance. What's really going on? But I don't think they have this sort of relationship where it's like a scandalous boss and employee relationship. It's just like a partnership, like camaraderie, like coming together sort of vibe to it.
Because I don't think in any stretch of the imagination she is ever really his subordinate. He sees her as an equal in every way.
Yeah, well, because...
and is almost intimidated by her.
Yeah, well, because she's got it so put together. He can tell her to go do very advanced technological things, like go press these buttons and hit this lever at this exact time, and he trusts her to do that. And I think because he is able to instill so much trust in her, that just gives her the opportunity to show up for him, and he can show up for her, and they can work together.
You know who you can't trust to pull the right lever at the right time?
Who?
Kronk.
Exactly.
Wrong lever! I had to do it. Sorry. Carry on.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I love their relationship because they are, even with all of Tony Stark's power and all of his, his giant business and the fact that he's dealing with some of the most technology on the entire planet, he still views her as his equal. And that, I think, is what really makes a good partnership. I mean, when Tony thought he was dying, he actually made Pepper the CEO of Stark Industries. So I think that just proves that he trusts her more with his business and his life than anyone else on the planet. And I mean, she's able to rise to the challenge. She is such a brilliant woman. She is so intellectual. She's so intuitive. And honestly, I would trust her too.
Yeah, and as the series kind of the Iron Man movies continues on, especially in Iron Man 3, you really see their relationship get tested because, Tony's losing it. Like, he's losing his nerve. He's losing his focus. He's losing his sanity. He's unhealthy, and she kind of sees him fraying, and she's really the one holding everything together, They're just on another level of, like, borderline psychotic trust.
Yeah. I was thinking that in the first movie because he says some line, like, before they're dating, he's like, well, you would have a boyfriend who goes off to do all these crazy stunts that you would have to worry about all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, she has to have the most extreme anxiety, but she seems so put together.
She's so calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, like every time he'd go to work, she would not know if he would come home alive or not.
But she really is able to sort of like compartmentalize, and she just knows like she's got things she needs to do, and whatever happens, she has to carry on. And I think she's able to do that really well. But she does start to lose it a little bit too on him because it just becomes too much.
He's a lot.
She wants him to be well and to be okay, and she wants them to be safe, especially when they have a child and later on. And of course, we all know how all that turns out, and it's so sad. And, even in Pepper losing Tony and knowing, I have to carry on. I have a child. We have a life. There is unfinished work that he wanted to do. And she really takes ownership of it as her own. And I think that's the measure of a true partnership, to believe in what the other person is doing so much that you can also make it part of your life's work as well. And again, her ability to compartmentalize and say like, okay, I'm grieving, but there's a job to be done here. Almost like she doesn't want to let him down. Mm-hmm. She refined him over time because he found this person that he could really count on no matter what was happening, and it made him want to be a better man for her. It made him want to show up more. It made him want to do the right thing or come home, you know?
Yeah, that really is a beautiful love story. I do like them.
It's very layered.
And can I add, I want to just on the fly add one additional Marvel mention. I'm not going to get into too much detail with it because this is a newer show, but I have to mention Wanda and Vision.
La 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 la, I haven't watched it yet.
I'm not going to get into details of the show. I'm going to talk about their relationship. There is a new show on Disney Plus called WandaVision, and they are one of the cutest teams of like a couple I've ever seen.
I'm so excited to watch it.
It's very fun. It's very unexpected. I don't want to give it away if you guys haven't gotten to watch it yet, but the way the two of them interact, he is just so sweet to her and she is so sweet to him. Like they just love each other and they work together because they get themselves into sticky situations and sometimes they don't even know why. And if you've seen the actual Marvel movies in Age of Ultron, that's when you meet both Wanda and Vision, and Wanda was a kid who participated in some scientific experiments in Sokovia. That's how she got her powers. And Vision is an AI unit, kind of a combination of Ultron, Jarvis, etc., as well as one of the Infinity Stones. But he ended up evolving to have human tendencies, aka being able to fall in love with Wanda. So WandaVision is great because Infinity War, spoiler alert, Wanda has to use her powers to destroy the Mind Stone that keeps Vision alive to prevent Thanos from getting it, so Vision actually dies, which is insanely heartbreaking to have to do that to the person you love. I cannot even imagine how much pain that caused Wanda. So WandaVision, the show that is currently rolling out new episodes on Disney Plus, seems to be a continuation of the story, but a lot is still very unclear, and we still have a few more episodes to go that are coming out on Fridays, so I would highly recommend checking it out. It is extremely thought-provoking and very clever. I think that we're all still a little confused on what's actually happening, but I know it's all going to piece together and be amazing. But yes, I love the two of them together. I think they make a great team. I think they have a very, very pure love, which I think was evident from the beginning when Vision went to go get Wanda at the last minute when Sokovia was crumbling. And then, of course, at the beginning of Infinity War when they were meeting up and hiding out in Europe before all of the major battles started. They were just trying to see if their relationship would work, and they realized that it would, and then things got so complicated, but they always had such a true, dear loyalty to each other. Anyways, give Wanda and Vision some love because I think they are an underrated couple, but they are truly one of the most genuine and sweetest, and I think one of the best.
Moving right along to our couple du jour from the Star Wars Lucasfilm franchise. I think it's going to be no surprise, but truly my favorite couple, and yours.
And mine.
Perhaps, and Jess's, is Han and Leia. Now I could write a novel about Princess Leia. I won't do that, though. I don't have too much to say about Han and Leia because I think everything is captured so beautifully in the films that you just need to go and watch them. But I will say, I love how they're so opposite in so many ways. He's a daredevil, he's a risk taker, he's a little rough around the edges. She's more polished, more of a rule follower, more someone who is probably considered more type A. But I think I resonate with her so much in all of those ways that I think I find when I'm around someone that has more of a Han personality, it really does help me to kind of enjoy life more. And although, you know, he got less time on this planet than she did, and some of their time was spent apart on this planet, on their planets.
Yeah.
Not this planet.
I guess this lifetime.
On their many planets. In their lifetimes, they had some time apart, and, you know, obviously Han didn't get as much time as Leia did, but I think their time together and what they were able to accomplish together and just the beacons of hope that they were and all the people they shepherded, that is a legacy. That is a power couple. And he totally knew that she was truly the leader. You know, she was the general. He was the sidekick. And I think it's a really healthy disruption of gender norms that I think played out. And I just love how they were able to combine the best parts of their personalities, however different they were, and come together and do what was necessary, again, for a greater good. And they both found that they were passionate about similar things. And at the end of the day, they just had a really rock solid understanding of the other person.
They just brought out kind of like more personality within each other, and they truly were meant to meet. They were meant to work together, not only on a not professional level, but like on a mission level, but also as a couple too. There were just obvious sparks flying, and they were really sweet together. And you really can't beat the combination of Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher together, because I mean, just two of the most powerful, amazing people in the industry right there.
All right. We're going to take a real big paradigm shift here and move into the realm of the DComs, the Disney Channel original movies. If you're a millennial kid, you grew up with these films. We love them. We are unabashed about it. And we are going to start off with one of the most iconic DComs of all time. Of course, we're talking about the relationship between Sharpay Evans and Sharpay Evans in High School Musical.
Bobby's going to love that.
I'm kidding. But we were talking about Sharpay Evans' relationship with herself, and I'll get into that a little more when I kind of talk about my side of this. Of course, we're talking about Troy and Gabriella.
Troy is, of course, the basketball star at the school. Gabriella is more of the shy, quiet girl who has this amazing talent, and suddenly it's recognized, and there you go, you got a movie. I think something that both of us were noticing, this is almost a common theme in movies, is having the shy girl be with the most popular guy, which I think it's kind of an old narrative, and Kristen's getting heated, so I think she wants to say some things about this.
Yes, I am increasingly frustrated by this recycled, like you said, old narrative that Hollywood uses, that the girl who's the shy one, who's not confident, who's always questioning herself, is going to get the guy because the guy sees her and has this like predatorial sort of view of her where it's like, oh, she's going to be the easy one to get because she already doesn't know who she is. She's not confident. You know what I mean?
And I can give her value.
And someone like Sharpay Evans, obviously they over-dramatized, her obsession with herself. She's always looking in the mirror. She's, like, got her monogram on everything. They, I think, overdid that. And really, when you strip it down, you get rid of the sparkles and the pink and the clothes and the personal assistant and the turning her brother into her slave thing. She is a confident woman. She knows who she is. She knows that she's got talent. She knows what she wants in life. And they turned her into a villain. They villainized it. Gabriella gets the guy. She's the one who doesn't really know who she is or what she wants. And she's not confident in her abilities. Although they are there, she needs someone to bring it out in her. And it's the guy. And they don't do it in a way that's like this predator-prey relationship. But I'm just kind of sick of that narrative. Like, why doesn't the girl who's confident and knows what she wants get the guy? Because he sees that confidence in her and he admires it and he celebrates it and he wants to encourage it as she will then encourage him. It just feels like that would be more equality. Not that being shy is a bad thing. If you are a shy person, if you're not sure of yourself, I'm not a very confident person a lot of the time. It's just more so that we're exacerbating this idea that like women need men to show us who we are. Or to give us purpose, or to make us feel like we can be ourselves. That should be something that's an internal journey that you come to on your own. And, people can encourage it in you, but you don't need a man to make you feel confident. You don't need a man to make you feel capable. And I was just a little bit jaded by this narrative we keep seeing over and over again.
Yeah, I do agree. It is a story that's been told over and over again. And, I don't think Troy Bolton and Sharpay would have been a good match. But why was there not, someone else that could have been with her who did see her for that?
Yeah, who I love? The guy who bakes, who's also a basketball player, and he, really likes Sharpay, and then they make her blow him off. I'm like, no, this would have been great. He knows he's confident in his abilities. He knows he's a jock, but he's like, hey, I love to bake, and that's cool too.
Yeah.
And he would have totally supported her if she could have climbed down from her throne for 2 seconds and humble herself amongst the rest of humanity.
Yes.
She might have been able to be really happy with that guy.
Or if the writers could have humbled her.
Yes. And then he could have made her some really bomb creme brulee.
I'm just saying.
Sounds like a win-win to me.
I mean, who doesn't want to date someone who knows how to cook? You know what I mean? But all right. And then another Disney Channel show and movie, my personal favorite Disney Channel original movie. We have to talk about Lizzie McGuire. And we're going to kind of break this up. There's 2 guys involved, you know. There's Ethan Kraft, of course.
We're going to the land where they invented spaghetti.
We have Ethan Kraft, the hot guy at school, everyone's crush. And then we have the best friend, which is Gordo. So I think this was always a really interesting story as far as Lizzie's love life went. Lizzie always had this crush on Ethan Kraft. No offense, Ethan Kraft is kind of a dweeb. Wasn't exactly intelligent by any means. He didn't really like bring much to the table other than being like a guy, like an attractive quote unquote guy. But there was never really any actual chemistry between Lizzie and Ethan. So it was like he was almost this guy just put on this pedestal, like he was untouchable to her, which again, an overplayed narrative. We don't need to see more of that.
I think, honestly, it was because, especially in that time, I feel like there was this era, and honestly, this era has probably only recently started to dissolve, where whoever the most popular guy or girl in school was, like, that was the person it was almost like this systemic obsession where, like, if everyone's obsessed with this person, then, like, I have to be too. I don't think Lizzie ever even liked him. I think she just thought she had to on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
And so it just manifested itself in, like, a crush that she fabricated without realizing she did it. Mm-hmm. I don't think she ever really liked him. It was just that Kate Sanders liked him and all the popular girls and the cheerleaders liked him. So she was like, well, if I want to be popular, I have to like him too. And if I like him, then I'll be popular. It was like sort of this, like, if-then thing on both sides. So I just think it's interesting that, like, it probably had nothing to do with anything other than maybe, like, his physical attractiveness to her. Then we finally, at the end of so many seasons and a feature-length film, we finally get the love story Lizzie deserves.
Yes. So Lizzie goes off to Italy. If you haven't seen this movie by now, where the heck have you been? Even if you never watched Lizzie McGuire, well, number one, get your butt on Disney Plus and watch it. Number 2, you can watch the movie as a standalone, and it's phenomenal.
Jess is like, over here, like,
watch the Lizzie McGuire
basically,
movie.
every time we do an episode, we give you guys homework without you realizing it, because we don't call it homework. We're like, here's some tips and takeaways. This is homework.
So Lizzie McGuire goes on her 8th grade school trip to Italy, which is hilarious that they're in 8th grade. Lizzie and Gordo, like, sit next to each other on the plane. They're so cute. They fall asleep on each other's shoulders, whatever. They get there and they're like, we're going to have best friend adventures. We're in a foreign country. We're just going to have a great time. And then, of course, Lizzie goes off and meets Paolo, who we didn't even talk about yet, but
Paolo Versari.
He is the imposter pop star. He doesn't even actually sing. He's a lip syncer. Surprise.
Sing to me, Paolo.
I guess that's a spoiler, but whatever. You all should have.
You have had since 2003.
You need to watch this movie by now. So Paolo basically takes Lizzie under his wing and is like, you look exactly like my co-star Isabella, and wants her to be a pop star, go on stage and pose as Isabella when Isabella's out of the country. All throughout this process, Lizzie is, of course, on her 8th grade school trip, and she is sneaking out. And who's covering for her but Gordo? He's saying that she's sick. He's making up excuses. He's stalling for her. Like, this never-ending loyalty to her, even though she basically is, you know, going on this journey.
Using him.
Yeah. And whether or not she's intentionally doing that, because I don't think she has bad intentions, but gets a little wrapped up in this pop star thing and this Paolo thing, but he is still so loving to her, that he would do anything for her. So much so that he gets kicked off the trip and sent home. He gets kicked off the trip, gets sent home, sees Isabella. They go back. Isabella exposes Paulo in front of a huge giant crowd. And
justice is served.
Justice is served. Lizzie sees that Paulo was actually bluffing her the whole time. Thank God, in the last few moments of the movie, Lizzie realizes Gordo's loyalty and his selflessness and just the act of love that he gave her.
She couldn't keep up with the spotlight and the media. She couldn't keep up with whatever it took to be popular because it just wasn't authentic to her. And then when she turned around and saw that at the end of the day, when things went poorly with Ethan over the years, Gordo was there for her. And when she was standing on the stage and Isabella's exposing Paulo and she realizes he's been lying to her the entire time, she turns around and Gordo's standing in the wings. And I think he's always really been standing in the wings for her. And she realized she valued that loyalty and friendship more than anything, and that she loved him for it, and that he obviously loved her too.
They've been best friends for so long, and they have a romantic kiss in Italy under the fireworks to end the movie. I'm angry because all you do is wait for them to get together. She friend zones him for years, and then all of a sudden they finally have the kiss, and then the movie is over, the series is over, and we never get any more Lizzie and Gordo. There's even a song in the movie called Open Your Eyes to Love, and it's like about how, it's about how love is all around you, and it's like right here, right now. Like,
it's here.
Yeah.
It's now.
So basically, they were trying to get the message through to her.
Clearly, she wasn't watching the movie. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you've laughed as much as we have. We wanted to end on a funny, whimsical, silly note for this month of love and relationships, but we can't end without the honorable mention, which,
like we promised you at the beginning.
Like we promised you. We always fulfill our promises. Mm-hmm. I couldn't, in good conscience, do an episode dedicated to my favorite live-action Disney couples without talking about Mary Poppins and Bert. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but they're not actually a couple. Au contraire, my friend. Read between the lines. There is romance. There is chemistry. Something's going on there. And you kind of get this sense in the film that there was something, maybe in the past. And what I love about Mary and Bert is I love Bert's personality. I love his sense of adventure and fun and how he doesn't take himself or life too seriously, how he sort of just always has this idea that things will work out. And if he just keeps getting up every day and going for it, good things will come to him. And Mary, being more type A, more rules-oriented, more, linear, obviously they're different people, but he understands that she has a job to do and she can't be with him all the time. She can't be around all the time. And instead of shaming her for it or guilting her into staying, he celebrates all of the things about her that make her so unique, and he allows and accepts her to be who she is, and he lets her fly, literally. And he knows that she'll always come back someday. He knows that she'll see him again. But I just think that was a very progressive relationship for the time, and B, I just think that they're so sweet together, whether they're just very good friends or there is romance or there was in the past.
I think they have a soulmate type relationship.
Yes, they definitely do.
On a very, very deep level, they have a really deep, beautiful connection, regardless of outside circumstances.
Because she is just as whimsical as he. Mm-hmm. She just carries it off in a more composed manner, but she's very adventurous and fun and unexpected and spontaneous. I think they have a very interesting story, and I would love to see like a spin-off where we get a glimpse into their past or maybe how they met. Would be so cool. That wraps up our live action take on our favorite Disney couples. We've got Marvel, Star Wars, DComs, and a little something extra. And if you guys want a part 3, we were thinking about maybe diving into some Pixar.
I think that would be really fun.
But if you want a part 3, when you listen to this episode, screenshot or share, send us a DM, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts so we know what you want to see next. That's the best way to give us immediate feedback.
We just wanted to thank you so much for listening to our Love and Relationships Month throughout the month of February. This has been a really reflective month. I'm glad we ended it on this lighter note, but I hope that you've enjoyed going through the journey, doing some reflection on your own life and kind of being here along with us, because some of those episodes were fun and some of them were a little bit more tricky.
I can confidently and honestly say I've laughed and I've cried.
Yeah.
During this month of ReDIScover. And maybe you've laughed and cried along with us. We hope that you have. We are so thankful to have a space where we can do both and engage in all of those spaces. And we hope this has given you some new perspectives on your own views of love and relationships. And please stay tuned for next week, because next week is the beginning of March and we are diving into yet another theme.
Yay!
March is going to be all about spring cleaning.
Yes.
Whether it's cleaning your physical spaces, clearing out your mental space and renewing your mind, and even clearing out your social media, we're going to talk all things to do with clearing and cleaning and starting fresh.
Yes, and we're starting the month off with a really special guest. If you have been interested in hearing us talk about manifesting, we are bringing on a professional manifesting coach next Tuesday, so make sure to tune in to that. Bring your open mind, bring your
Cup of coffee
and your listening ear, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of ReDIScover.
Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Your reviews are what keep us going, and we'd love to hear from you.
Join us every Tuesday for a new conversation, and let us know what you think we should talk about next.
Follow us on Instagram at positively.kristen and at jessicafay508. And check out Jess's blog at theroadjesstraveled with 1l.com.
Until next time,
Stay frumpy!